that, and the UN is really an expression of human consciousness, of the expansion of human consciousness, really, because, I mean, a couple of centuries ago, it wouldn't have been possible to found the UN because humanity just wasn't ready to handle that large concept like that of a global, a global organization. It's a global forum for all the governments of the world to come together to discuss mutual problems. And that's essentially what it is. It isn't going to be a world government, as you say. It is a forum for discussion and arriving at a consensus of what needs to be done, and then setting up mechanisms to handle these world problems. And just the UN has so many agencies that do handle so many of the world problems that I think most people perhaps are just not aware of the wide responsibility that the UN has worldwide.
Yeah, they just think of the General Assembly, don't they, as the UN?
Right, the General Assembly or the Security Council, because that's where so much of the activity goes on in the Security Council. That's what gets on the news as the conflicts arise, and they're worked out and hammered out at the Security Council. But there's so much else going on in the Economic and Social Council and in the International Court of Justice. That's another
dealing with Milosevic and Charles Taylor.
And you see, under the Economic and Social Council, there are many sub-councils, and like UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, Cultural Organization, UNICEF, Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, ILO, the International Labor Organization, the International Monetary Fund. All of these come under the agencies of the U.S., and probably another one that's very active today is the is UNICEF, but it's also the High Commission on Refugees. Particularly the war in Iraq has just created thousands and thousands, perhaps millions of refugees now.
Which the UN has to take care of.
And the UN has to deal with this, and that's one of the great blessings that we have this United Nations agency that is established just to handle refugees in the world wherever they are. So it's a great mark on human consciousness that they can come up and comprehend these vast problems that occur on a worldwide basis now, and that is a tremendous skill of the human consciousness.
And they must be successful at it, the High Commission on Refugees, because didn't they win the Nobel Peace Prize a few years ago?
Right, yeah.
When Sadako Okata was the Secretary General of that branch. I don't think the UN begins to get the credit it deserves. A few years ago, there was that terrible flu in Asia that swept through Hong Kong and China. It wasn't the bird flu, was it? It was the one before that. I can't.
You might be right. It might have been the bird flu.
Or it was really
SARS.
SARS, yes.
Epidemic. Yeah.
Yes, that was it. And the World Health Organization, which is another branch of the UN, went into action immediately. And now we can't even readily sum up the name of that flu because it's been, I don't know if it's been eradicated, but it's been contained. And at the time it was extremely frightening, especially with international travel being so easy. They were fearing a global pandemic.
I remember, it was even being talked about that on the news in that way.
It came as far, as close to our border as Canada, I believe. Some people from Asia entered into Toronto with that illness. But the World Health Organization, with its global system of information and resources, was able to put the procedures in place that check that disease. So that's just one more example of the UN system being kind of taken for granted and so effective in so many ways.
For those people who just tuned in, you're listening to Inner Sight. And our topic for today, the United Nations. We have something that I might label it, define it as a gift coming from Lucis Trust to you, because it's available for free from Lucis Trust. From the Lucis Trust, you'll get it for free. It's a pamphlet, and the title of the pamphlet is The United Nations Humanity's Challenge. Now, this pamphlet is available at no charge, once again, so when you call, there's not even a shipping charge. I think a lot of people who are teachers, educators, you might be especially interested in this pamphlet. You might be able to draw lessons from it. And once again, the title of the pamphlet, The United Nations Humanity's Challenge, available at no charge. It offers a review of current ideas for UN reform, as well as a depiction of the spiritual significance of the United Nations. So what you have to do is give us a call on our toll-free number. That's 1-866-695-8247. Or you could call us, the easy way to remember it is 1-866-NY-LUCIS. Lucis, L-U-C-I-S. Think of 1-866-New York Lucis. And we'll be happy to send it out to you free of charge. By the way, we appreciate your help. Many of you have been making donations, both large and small, and collectively those donations help to keep us on the air. They are tax deductible, so if you'd like to donate and help us in our efforts to keep doing these shows, send donations to Lucis Trust, 120 Wall Street, New York, New York, 10005. That's Lucis Trust, 120 Wall Street, New York, New York, 10005. All of our Inner Sight programs can be heard on our website at www.lucistrust.org. On the home page, you'll find a link to today's program, which will be available for hearing in a day or two. Last week's program is already available, and many of our past programs can also be heard. www.lucistrust.org. The theme of each week's program is posted in advance on our website also, so that you can see in advance what next Sunday's program will be. And I was thinking of what you were saying, Sarah and Dale, and I think you're right, Sarah. The United Nations really doesn't get enough credit, and that's too bad. I'd like to see them get credit for what they do. There's so much good work that they do that is not really acknowledged by the news media or anything. But the Lucis Trust is going to be putting an emphasis on the spiritual significance of nations in some work this fall. Can you say more about that?
Yes, and we will be having an individual who works with the United Nations system to speak at our meeting. It's on Saturday, November 10th, in the afternoon from 1:30 to 5 or 5:30. And its theme is going to be Evoking the Soul of the Nations. As listeners to our program know, we've discussed that not only individuals, but groups and even nations can be the expression of a soul, the soul of a people. And we are going to focus on that theme in all three headquarters of the Lucis Trust through our work with World Goodwill, which is our activity that is linked to the United Nations Office, Department of Public Information. And in focusing on evoking the soul of the nations, we're going to have an opening talk by Marco Toscano Rivalta, who is Humanitarian Affairs Officer with the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Human Affairs. And he'll be speaking on evoking the soul of the nations as a collective act of will through the United Nations. We're going to have three individuals who are themselves immigrants to speak on the contribution of immigrants to a nation's soul quality. We're going to have a period of group discussion on how people who are committed to world service can help to evoke the soul expression of their nation. We will have meditation, and it will be